Okay, good evening. We can have an evening stream here, and about the contents of today's stream, I think I'm gonna be maybe a little bit of overview, at least on some things that I've been doing since the last stream, and then I've been having some ideas, like various ideas about how to develop the project, so maybe go over those. I have this drawing board thing here, so maybe use that. So but first, maybe a few things that I'm gonna show here on the right hand side of the screen. I found this thing that you can put this small I or this info label besides the, okay, I'm gonna bring it up. So let's see where we are using it. I think here also in the okay, here I think, for example, yeah, it's somehow this, that if you put it inside this HTML tag or something, then you can combine this regular text or this like regular label of the UI element of the input, and then you can just put something there. I think this determines the size. Yeah, it goes until from here until here. It determines the size of this input that you put here, and then you can even have it as an input, kind of like design input. So now this is like input. If I click this, it triggers the info tree, and I've had it so that like I think all, or at least how it should be in the end, is that all of these info button clicks, they will show up here on top of the graph thing. So yeah, and then it would give out additional information on the like said topic, and in this case let's start here carbon price, and that kind of like how what's the whole deal in this. But I'm not really sure if this is like totally the best way to do it is yet. I think like because it would be nice to have here have like this carbon price be in the same color as it is here in the picture, and so I wonder if this should be actually a graph, and then it just has all this text content. It might be easier to make that text content seem the way as I want it to be in the graph, rather than with these like more, I don't know, like limited text. But of course I think you can change the colors within this text as well, but it's not so I'm not so familiar with it, but yeah, it might be better. And maybe one benefit of this could be that you could maybe create like hyperlinks inside this text, so that if you click this carbon price, if it would be like a clickable object, then it would, instead of that, it would open up an info box on the carbon price and what is like a carbon price and so on. So yeah, so and then you can shut it down, and then you can open another, and you can like jump between these like. But another idea would be to have them here in these cases, like in the bottoms of these windows. But maybe this is the best one. Like it's always in the same place, and and with these cases you cannot choose like for example here the land use emissions. You cannot there's no selection for that here, so there wouldn't be this kind of like box to have it in the end of the box here, because there's no box. Of course you could put it somewhere here, but yeah. So what I think is that this bottom row here is gonna be unnecessary then, because if we can just add this info symbol after all of the in here, like after all of the land use, like all of these things, it's yeah. So there could be like a lot of places where you can add these info symbols, and yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what else. Like, yeah. I think I need to. Yeah, well, that's. This other thing that I've been doing is I've been trying to make this look better. Like, it's been very hard to kind of like. Here, I think I needed to do a little bit of trickery to get this, so that like when there's the green background for the selected face here. So I think it wasn't too easy to get. Like now it's kind of like nice that it. I think it connects quite well, like what you have chosen and what selection are you kind of like playing around with. Maybe I should have here on top like carbon tax, like read here and here, like read carbon budgets, so it make it like even more implicit and more or explicit, or kind of like better to explain that you are currently on that menu. So yeah, that's something. I've been thinking here also that should I have, like I have here in the right hand side, the label texts for these, but I am wondering should I also have them on the left hand side. Like I have them here for like indicator averages, but I'm considering that would it be better to have them here for all of the. I think it would make it easier to keep track of stuff, like because it's a little bit of leap to see, look at here, okay, user emissions, so where is that here, and it's here on the right, but like because there's so many, at worst there's so many different lines going on here, that would it be better to have them more explicitly in both ends of this graph. So yeah, I'm thinking about that. So and maybe this averages, maybe it's not so. At one point, I've also been thinking like the averages could show up here as an extra line in the table instead of being here in the graph. I think it could be a little bit more sensible place for that, but yeah, those are some of the things that I've been thinking about, and like Also, lately I've been having an idea, or kind of like this desire to make these country specific stuff a little bit more sensible, because now it's just so I'm gonna make a note here. So have an extra separate graph for country specific variables. So now so far it throws the Australia okay, let's see if we can okay. Yeah, yeah, now it's very this gets even more like crowded if you add these stuff. So I'm thinking about adding like a totally new section here in the bottom of this graph, and you could all like play around here already with this country profile. So if you just want to have like for one country, you could use that country okay, there's some, I think there's some the some of this, it doesn't really scale right for the for this country profile thing, but maybe I should not worry about too much of that if I'm gonna make a separate graph for that stuff. So but yeah, I'm thinking it would be a little bit too much of but maybe one problem, let's see, I'm gonna draw here. So if we have here, we have those, in the left hand side we have those settings, and then we have here we have the menu for each of those, and here we have the graph. So now if you want to add here and this, so if this was the one that triggers the new graph, and the new graph would show up here like this, so it doesn't really make a lot of sense to then would this still continue to be that, like, if you click this here, this selection here, and you open this graph, would it be still so that there's this spot here for you to select those, or would there be another window here? And I think this could make more sense, that we would have another window here to select stuff that affects this graph, and but then I wonder if this should somehow, I don't know, like how do you make the mental connection for the, or this kind of like understanding that this goes here if this is so much more lower in the web page. So would there have to be some kind of like arrow system here, or like an arrow thrown here, but I don't know, I don't think I would know how to make those. Or could there be some kind of like arrow here? I don't know. Or could I make this like this extra, this country profile thing? Could I make this appear a little different so that it wouldn't seem so disconnected? Or should there be like so that there wasn't this at all here, but rather we have a whole time we have it here in the bottom, so that but then I think like there's a few issues here with that one. I kind of want to keep this as an extra feature, and if it's just staying here, and there could be like some other one as well, and like if it is here already, I think that would also maybe mean that this would have to be open, or I don't know, it could be something like this, that it's clickable. Somehow, so if you click it, it expands, but it's like not used mostly. I also wonder, like, would we then need to have on top here like similar selection that we have here right now, which is like for these indicators and their visibility. So would we need to have like same kind of thing here? Like it could be quite identical actually, and that could maybe make it easier somehow, or kind of like at least make the connection that this is a separate instance of stuff that is not so much connected. Other thing that I've been thinking is that there's this convergence of country emissions. There's this slider that you can use. So I wonder if it is can you have the same input in multiple different places? Like they are not, because they're not ever used at the same time, but can they have it's I think one easy kind of way to do is that you can have separate conversions stuff, and they would just update each other's or if you change something here, then it would go to this one that's here, and it would update that one, but I'm not sure. Okay, but I'm gonna go a little bit back to this thing that we have here. Like, do we have room here? Okay, so I'm gonna make this bigger now. Like, this is just now this is this one in larger size now. So what we have here, we have the kind of like a same, trying to make it same variable like we have here start year and the neutrality year, and it's a lot more tricky because you have different countries, so you'd have to have like if you have here like carbon net cost, then you would have to have that's like something carbon, and then you would have to have like Finland, and the same for other one like Sweden, and it's not so easy with these ones that maybe one thing that's kind of makes this better is that if you are only looking at some variable, for example, let's think about this carbon net cost for each country. So there's the world average that would go, well, the world net cost average is like this, it goes like 0 here. The net cost is 0 all the time, because for average you get as much money as you are giving to the system. But then you have like then there's this convergence thing. Wait a minute. Okay, okay, it could be something like this, and then there's something like this here, and this, and here, and here. But yeah, my point is that these they don't really ever overlap each other. So I think that could make it easy that there is no so you might not need to use different colors to do this. And it's the same thing, maybe like whatever, like you have the emission variable here, so the world average emissions would go like this, and then you have like some countries that there's never overlap between the countries. But I think there's still gonna be some issues here, especially with this. What you have? Like if you have here, you have 12 countries, and let's imagine that there's one more. Okay, there's like, okay, let's say that even when there's only like 6 countries, and we have that many like 3 different indicators that we are showing at this point. So we need to have 3 times 16, so that's 18 like of these textings here, like on this end, and maybe on the other end as well, and then you wonder like at what point is it gonna be too much text in the graph, and it's not reasonable anymore. Like there's just not at some point there's just not gonna be enough space, like vertical space here to fit all of those text. So if you look at this on the right hand side of the screen, you have the current, there's this text here. So I would say it's now taking about 30% of the or maybe 20%, 25% of the desk space, of the like vertical space there. So if you keep this font, there's like only room enough like to triple this, and we have like 12, so like 36 or something. So that brings out some problems, and but so I don't really know, like how would I want to handle this. Let's like few options is, one option is to, so if the amount of these kind of like stuff that needs to be shown goes above a certain limit, then it decreases the fonts. That makes the issue better, and I think other option is then that like if it is to just not show any text after a certain point, that it's only showing the graphs. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I could have here like some info button as well. But yeah, everything is slower now because of this country stuff. And I think I need to also do the thing where I think there's some kind of thing that you can do if there's too many reactions, or if there's like this I drew 3 small things in succession, and it just takes the first things and then it throws the graph for that, like in response to that, and only after it has processed the graph, it has made the graph, it starts to take the other thing into account. Like there should be this a little bit of delay. I think there's possibility to add some kind of delay so that it doesn't so it doesn't yeah, so it doesn't just like start doing this everything all over. But yeah, it's would be nice to have this in different graph, because this is kind of additional information and you don't really want to have it to mess up with your current graph. But also I'm thinking that would it be nicer to have it as some kind of alternative graph to this, instead of having it as a kind of addition, so that there could be some selection box here on the top that you can switch between these graphs. But then this would, I think, yeah, it may be better to just have it as a here in the bottom as a separate thing. It's a little bit tricky. And also been thinking about this multiple graph thing, that it might be better just to have them on in the same actual graph somehow, and then there's the option between the grid arrange stuff and yeah, whatever. So I've been playing around with this idea of having give I think I've thought about this before and maybe mentioned in some of my streams before, but this possibility for choosing how much of each country's possibility to choose how much of each country's the carbon tax or carbon prices income they collect, like how much of that is going to this global system and how much would go to some national system where it's possibly distributed to all of these people. So like all of the people in these countries. So yeah, that's select all and see what happens. Like yeah, it's a single graph. Yeah, this is how it looks like. Oh, I think it's yeah, okay, it's using this highest number here for the scale, like even if it's not chosen, because this like stayed pretty much the same. like thinking that if there's, so there could be, it should be an extra option to have choose. Okay, I'm gonna put this way now. So maybe also like in global how much of global pots is distributed as carbon dividend and how much goes to other global stuff, like so it could be like carbon sink systems here, something like that. Yeah, I think this one is kind of important here. It could be that like, because this kind of like extra feature, it starts with like all of the carbon tax money everywhere going to this global thing, and all of that being distributed evenly as a carbon dividend, and then you get these choices to select that. How much okay, I think we need to add here possibility to set start year emissions and things. Okay, I think that's the point more. Just like writing some other stuff that's coming to my mind here. And why I think this could be necessary is that like the point of this project is to create this kind of like utopian scenario, kind of like show how this utopian scenario of global carbon tax and carbon dividend would work. And because this is so utopian, it could be better to add some features that will make this less utopian, so that it's more kind of like acceptable. And I think this kind of system where I think it would be, in essence, there could be this kind of contract between countries that each country who signed the contract, they would agree to have this equal carbon tax, and then they could decide how much of the revenues they give to their citizens, like and that could be as a dividend, or that could be as some kind of like public spending in general. That's like you gonna no so good. I'm wondering like good share of dividend money. Could that be an indicator? With start year and end year. So yeah, so this kind of like makes that it could be that okay, I forgot to put the music on. This would mean that they could be there could be it could start off that with each country keeping most of the money themselves, but in the end it could be that they are giving more and more to this global cause. Yeah, something like that. But yeah, back to this thing. So each country could decide how much they give to the global pot, this global dividend, and how much is given as a national dividend, or how much goes to the other national public spending or whatever. And then out of the collected global fund, the global community or something, or United Nations or whatever, they would decide how much is divided as carbon dividend and how much goes to these maybe funding these land sink projects or whatever. So yeah, those are the kind of choices. So for countries to have this option, it would make it more desirable, especially rich countries that would be losing in the system. But then again, it also, the lower this contribution that the countries are making, the lower their contribution, yeah, diversities for the poorest countries like that would reduce their incentive to participate in the system. But I wonder if there could be if there was a possibility to set a minimum amount, a minimum share of tax revenue that goes to global pot, or this kind of global fund. So there could be this, like, for example, like 20% share that each country has to give to this global thing. It could also be, of course, more fine-tuned that they would give up to some like targeted poorest countries. But I wonder if that goes. So minimum share, so that there is a minimum dividend across world. So this would make it so that each country is each country I don't know if the, like, I'm just thinking that this could be used to target it to poorest countries somehow, but it's a little bit complex, and I wonder if it gets also like too complex to explain. Like the further we go away from the simplicity. So also, like, I'm wondering that in country selection, ability to select like X poorest countries, X highest emitting countries, and like X poorest or richest countries. So it's either GDP or GDP per capita. Highest. So so lowest or highest emitting countries, and have like next most populous countries. And why I'm keeping this X here is that with that you could control a little bit this of how okay, it could be, let's see, like, oops, X poorest and X richest countries. So then you could see the distribution a little bit as well there. So yeah, I don't know if there's more like more useful this like selection methods, but it is quite like cumbersome to just select like okay, I want to like see how the what are the biggest countries, how would it go for them, or like the most influential countries. So there's like over 200 countries here, so it's very tiresome to go through like whole list here and do that. So something like this where you can choose that I want to see the progression for 10 of the biggest countries, how it would look like, something like that. And you can choose the X, and that would then like play around on what choices are you gonna like, what indicators do you want to show for those countries. So for the countries, like what indicators here are relevant, I think I'm wondering, do I have the population? I have the United Nations, I have the over here the population projection. These are for the global population, but I actually wonder if they have this for the countries as well. I'm gonna take this out because it's making this slow. But that might be, that's like something to check out. So we won't have like total emission, land use emission, but the question is also like, do we want to show so do we want to show those indicators as well? Like the user can come on and see them in here if they just go top, but it would be nice for some to be able to see them, but I don't know, maybe it's not useful because you can just scroll up a little bit. So I would say a no. So at least not like well, with the emissions it could be nice to see the averages. So like the average emissions, like across the globe. I think that's very interesting to see, at least. So what else? Yeah, but not like the carbon tax or the total emissions. I think those are not. Yeah, carbon. Like, okay. I don't know about this. Like, well, average carbon costs, and well, they are averages. So yeah. And then like the country is gonna take the place of the user there. So what about so what about putting user specific indicators to country graphs? So what I'm thinking here is that so the user has selected so if the user I don't know if this goes like now. It's kind of balancing also. Like it goes back to that thing that should we have them on the same graph after all? Again, I don't know. Like it's maybe it's yeah, I don't know actually. Yeah, it could be. Okay, I'm gonna like thinking back to having these in the same graph, because it would, I don't know, it would but then again they make the graph so much slower that it could be nice that the user could I also wonder that if you change something that affects the top graph and the top graph would kind of be ready, but the bottom graph is still lagging behind, or would it would it show like would it show up like would it wait for the second graph to also finish before showing up the changes in the first graph? So that's kind of annoying. Okay, I don't know if I have if this is enough for the evening. Hmm. Okay, I think I'm gonna end this here. But thanks for watching, and have a nice next week.